Welcome to the Board of County Commission meeting. Today is Tuesday, October 8th at 9 o'clock in the morning. This morning our invocation will be led by Pastor Robert Bush at Faith Baptist Church and the Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Bill Pickens. Please rise if you're able to do so.
Lord God, we do thank you for this day. We thank you, Lord, for God, just all things that you do for us. Lord, we thank you for dying for us. Lord, for rising again the third day. Lord, we do pray for this meeting here this morning. We just pray you'd give them wisdom, Lord. You'd help them get things done. God, we just pray for this upcoming storm, Lord, that's coming through. We just pray you'd keep your hand of protection, Lord, on this county and on these people. And, Lord, those in the path of the storm, we just pray to your God that it might subside a little bit, weaken, Lord, before it hits land. God, we just pray again, Lord, for your safety, your wisdom, and, God, that you would give us understanding. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pastor Bush, thank you so much. Commissioner Pickens, thank you. I do want to let the audience know if we seemed a little rushed today. We do have a lot of staff preparing for your safety with the storm coming, so we're going to get through this agenda as quickly as possible so our staff can get to doing what they do. And at this time, they wear multiple hats to protect the citizens of Putnam County. Next item of business on the agenda is approval of the minutes.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of the Board of County Commissioners meeting scheduled September 10th, 2024.
Do you have a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. We're going to recess the Board of County Commission meeting, call to order the Port Authority meeting. First item of business is our Port Authority regular minute meetings.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of the minutes.
We have a proper motion. We have a proper second. Any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Next on our Port Authority is our public comment on Port Authority items only. Is there any public comment on Port Authority items only? Going once, going twice, and we'll shut that down. And Commissioners, is there any general discussion on Port Authority items?
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
I'm not a commissioner, but just to give you an update, we have signed the lease and got the lease back as discussed at the last meeting. So National Industrial Services are now on the property side there, the old GP property.
Good deal. Thank you very much. Okay, and seeing no other discussion, we'll close the Port Authority, reconvene the Board of County Commission meeting, and our first item of business is the proclamation for Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And I do apologize, I did not wear my purple, although I knew to do it, and I ran out of the house and didn't do it. But Commissioner Pickens will be reading the proclamation, and he will be directing you as to what to do now.
Okay, the representatives from Lee Conley, would you like to come to the podium? Okay, Putnam County Proclamation number 2024-104, Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Whereas domestic violence is a crime that impacts all citizens of Putnam County, and whereas the impact of domestic violence is wide-ranging, taking a dramatic toll on the criminal justice system, law enforcement, the healthcare community, and society as a whole. And whereas each year in Putnam County, an estimated 1 in 4 women and 1 in 9 men are victims of domestic violence, that would translate to 13,000 individuals affected in our county. And whereas it is vital for our community to support the victims of domestic violence and assist with their grave financial, physical, and psychological losses, and to impose legal sanctions against perpetrators of personal violence. And whereas the Lee Conley House is the only domestic violence center in Putnam County providing 24-hour services and counseling to victims and their families, and has been awarded certificate through the Florida Department of Children and Families. And whereas the Putnam County Board of Commissioners urges all citizens to actually participate in support of all programs sponsored by Lee Conley House, therefore assisting in the elimination of domestic violence in our community. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners of Putnam County, Florida, the October is designated Domestic Violence Awareness Month in Putnam County to participate in planned activities benefiting the Lee Colony House and its mission to provide shelter and support services to victims of domestic violence and their families. Done, ordered, and adopted this 8th day of October. Mr. Chairman, I make the motion that we approve this proclamation.
Second.
We have proper motion, proper second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it.
Okay, I'm not going to talk your ears off in the interest of time, but I do want to say that this proclamation is not for us. This is for the survivors.
Yes.
And just a very quick story. I did a presentation the other day, and a lady came up to me afterwards and said, I came through your shelter when I was 5 years old, and it changed my life. And that is why we do what we do. Because she went from a life of pain and suffering every day to her mother getting out and building a life. And this young lady is now a mother, and she lives a productive life. And that's why we do what we do. And we want to recognize the thousands and thousands of women and children and men that have come through our shelter and through our outreach services over the years. We've been in business since 1997, and so we're very proud of the work we've done. We're very proud of the people that have come through our services who have survived horrible treatment and horrible things and still come out on the other side. And that's what this is about today. And I thank you all. I've stood here for 7 years, and for 7 years, I think most of you have been sitting right on that side of the panel, and I'm so thankful for not just this recognition, but the continued support of the commission, and many of you do it personally, many of you do it through your vote when it comes budget time, and we appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
again.
Lori.
Come on. We won't bite. Well, some of them might. Thank you. Thank you. Truly making a difference one person at a time. Thank you so much for the work you do at Lee Conley. Next, it will be Commissioner Wilkinson is going to do the proclamation for the 4-H, and she will direct you as to what to do.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Putnam County Proclamation Number 2024-106, National 4-H Week. Whereas 4-H is America's largest youth development organization, having supported almost 6 million youth across the country thus far. And whereas 4-H has developed over 800 youth in Putnam to become confident, independent, resilient, and compassionate leaders. And whereas 4-H is delivered by Cooperative Extensions, a community of more than 100 public universities across the nation that provides experience where young people learn by doing hands-on projects in areas including health, science, agriculture, and citizenship. And whereas National 4-H Week showcases the incredible experiences that 4-H offers young people and highlights the remarkable 4-H youth in Putnam County who work each day to make a positive impact on those around them. And whereas 4-H's network of 600,000 volunteers and 3,500 professionals provides caring and supportive mentoring to all 4-Hers, helping them to grow into true leaders, entrepreneurs, and visionaries. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Putnam County, proclaimed that October 6th through 12th, 2024 as National 4-H Week throughout Putnam, and encourage all of our citizens to recognize 4-H for the significant impact it has made and continues to make by empowering youth with the skills they need to lead for a lifetime. Done, ordered, and adopted this 8th day of October 24. Mr. Chair, I move approval of this proclamation.
Second. Proper motion, proper second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it.
We just want to thank you again this year. We look forward to this week every year recognizing 4-H and what it does for the youth, not only in Putnam County, but throughout our country. And as you can see, we've got a great group of young ladies today. Our fellows fell out on us. But
They might be working to help the storm.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
let's go.
But we do appreciate the support of the county. We just went a couple weeks ago. I took a lot of these girls to Southern Region Teen Leadership Conference in Tennessee, and the kids were able to learn so many incredible communication skills and leadership skills that they've brought back to their counties and can share with the younger kids in 4-H and with their schools. And so we would not make it without your support, and we appreciate you guys so much. Thank you.
Heather. Come on up and get a picture taken. And again. Congratulations, Heather. Thank you.
Good to see you again. Sorry.
As I've said many times, that's the best part of our job. So, next will be Wendy, our agricultural agent, extension director, with Farmer Troy, Maine.
Yes, both of those things are correct. I am the extension director as well as the agriculture agent, and this is my very motivated farmer that grows commercial datil peppers here in Putnam County, and we have a very, very exciting event coming up on the riverfront. We want to personally invite you all to attend October 26th. I'm going to let Troy just kind of give this is something that has happened for years and years and years in St. Johns County. It is going to be a fantastic culinary celebration of the datil pepper. We are excited.
What's a
St.
datil
Johns
pepper?
County, huh?
Do I know anything about datil?
I don't know. Actually, we need you to be a judge. We have an amateur datil contest, and we're going to invite you to be one of the judges. But this went on for years and years and years in St. Johns County. They stopped it during COVID, and we're bringing it to the riverfront, partnering with Main Street Palatka, huge corporate sponsor of FPL. Gave us $7,500 for this inaugural event. So we want this to be the ag-centric event in the upcoming years in October. As big as Blue Crab. That's what we're hoping for. So I'm going to let Troy just kind of give y'all a snippet, because he really is the fire and the inspiration that made this happen.
Good.
Thanks, Wendy.
Well, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, commissioners, for having me this morning. As Wendy was telling you, I own Mayhem Datil Pepper Farms down in Pomona Park. My family has deep roots in Putnam County since 1883. My great-grandfather in the early 1900s helped bring in change on malaria, all the malaria outbreak. He also mapped the first 12 miles of the Ocklawaha River in 1915 and helped bring about the Palatka fish hatchery in the 1920s. Our farm has a long history of growing everything from oranges to ferns. Until about 20 years ago, I fell in love with datil pepper. Few people grow it because it's very labor intensive and very tricky to grow. But it does thrive very well here in Putnam County. In fact, there's only 2 farmers in the world that I'm aware of that grow heirloom quality datil peppers, and that's Rebel's Pepper Company and us, when we're right here in Putnam County. So we ought to be proud of that. Due to that lack of growers, we coined the phrase "Save the Datil" to highlight Florida's hidden gem, and at the festival we're asking attendees to sign the Save the Datil petition to make the official state pepper the datil pepper. Texas has one. New Mexico has the Hatch chili. They even have a New Mexico state smell, and that's the roasted Hatch chili. So I think that's about time we brought it to the datil pepper to light here in Florida. Over the years, we've been featured on ESPN's award-winning TV series True South. We've been in numerous various magazines, Northeast Edible magazine, as well as numerous radio shows and TV broadcasts. Earlier this year, I retired to work full-time on the farm. And to revive the Datil Pepper Festival. Because like Wendy said, it was huge over in the Ag Center in St. Augustine, but there was very little parking. There was no really a lot of food. It was well attended, but I felt it was about time to bring it where it belongs and bring it back here to Putnam County. Okay. So with your support, we would appreciate anything support y'all can give us. Larry, we're serious about you being one of our judges. We got some really good celebrity judges coming along, and we'd love you to be part of it. So.
I was invited one time to be a judge at a barbecue contest in McClenny. And I found out some people can cook better than me, and some people can't cook at all. And that's what I'm scared about being a judge for your datil. I might find myself in the top end or the way bottom end. But I'll be willing to.
Yeah, one of the things we thought with the amateur contest, it's not necessarily always about the taste. That's what the judges are going to hear. It's about the story where it came from. So that's what our big thing is. So my business partner and best friend for 45 years, Scott Murray, is going to be the MC, and he's going to be reading the stories behind all these recipes about where they came from. And there's some great stories so far, so it should be a whole lot of fun. But we would love for y'all to come out. It's going to be a blast. We've got live music. We've got cold beer. I don't know if I should say that here, but we appreciate everything y'all can do.
A lot worse is sitting here sometimes, so that's trust me.
But everybody stay safe with this hurricane coming. Thank you.
Thank you.
And just to wrap it up, we do have great culinary experiences. We've gotten restaurants from St. Augustine to come over, and we're trying to get a couple from Putnam, and they're going to be giving out 4-ounce samples. We're selling 200 tickets to the culinary stroll, and they're only $25, and you get 16 datil pepper samples of it could be like savory, sweet, or drinks. And then we also have a VIP experience. We're partnering with the Douglas Group, who's given us the River Center for the rooftop. So those are $100 tickets, and Velchoff's is preparing all the food for the VIP experience. So those are pre-purchase tickets. Everything else is free. Kids Zone going to be amazing. I mean, we're going all out on the Kids Zone. So this is something that we're really excited about, and we really want to see happen year after year after year. And we're going to grow it, not just the datil pepper, but grow it as an ag-centric festival for Putnam County.
And Wendy, I was late for my Tourist Development Council meeting yesterday. You were there. And I was at the EOC and then we had an emergency board meeting. But I'm going to tell you, the first quarter of next year, it is going to be a busy time in Putnam County. I mean, there's a lot of events going on. Mm-hmm. If you can't find something to do, you just don't want to do it, period. Right. And it's going to be good to showcase Putnam County, and anything we can do to get behind that, so we appreciate y'all.
We just want you to know, we want you to come out. We're not asking for your money right now. Go buy some tickets online. That would be great, just to support our culinary stroll. But we just want y'all to know about it, spread the word for us, and be there. And yes, we're going to follow up with you specifically about the judging, because we'll have 6 judges. So if you do a terrible job, the other 5 will be fine. They'll make up for you. All right, that's it, guys. We don't need a picture.
Thank you.
Be safe through the storm.
Yeah, thank you for all you do. Where's your boots at today? Yeah, okay. Good. She has the best Florida boots around. So thank y'all for coming today, guys, girls. Have a good day. Next on our agenda is our planning development public hearing, and our first item is our rezone PUD 24. That ends in 6. How's that, Sam?
Good morning. For the record, Jennifer Casella, Planning and Development Services. This application is to rezone from commercial retail C2 to planned unit development PUD. The applicant is Celtic Investments FL Incorporated. The agent is Don Holmes. It's a 6.96 acre parcel. located at 436 South Highway 17 in East Palatka. The applicant is requesting a zoning map amendment for the purposes of expanding and making improvements to an existing vested overnight recreation park.
Mr. Sir. Go ahead, keep going, I'm sorry.
The parcel is designated urban service on the adopted future land use map. The subject lands have approximately 370 feet of paved road frontage on U.S. Highway 17. According to the Putnam County GIS reference map, there are no apparent wetlands. The FEMA flood zone layer indicates flood zone X is present on site. Flood zone X is not a special flood hazard area. On December 7, 2022, Putnam County Planning and Development Services approved a vesting determination. The vesting determination acknowledged the parcel had an extensive history of being used as an RV park and has been operating in good faith since at least the 1970s. As stated in LDC Section 45-813, non-conforming land uses are not eligible for expansion or improvements unless a determination is made by the Zoning Board of Adjustments, allowing for such alterations. Rather than petition the ZBOA for expansion and improvements, the applicant chose to bring the campground into compliance by way of planned unit development. Should this PUD be approved, the applicant will then submit to the Development Review Committee to satisfy additional development requirements. The DRC will review plans to ensure the development is compliant with local, state, and federal development regulations. As it pertains to this property, the DRC will ensure placement of RV lots is acceptable based on the development agreement, and the Florida Department of Health will review plans, as the Department of Health is the primary regulatory agent for RV parks. Other agencies, including but not limited to Putnam County Public Works, Emergency Services, Florida Department of Transportation, and St. Johns River Water Management District, will review plans to ensure the development will not adversely affect surrounding properties by complying with each agency's specific regulations associated with new development. Your aerial view, future land use, zoning, flood zones, wetlands. Staff recommends approval of the request to amend the zoning map from commercial retail C2 to planned unit development, as the request is consistent with the requirements for PUD zoning, consistent with the future land use designation, and consistent with other comprehensive plan goals, objectives, and policies. At the scheduled public hearing on July 10, 2024, the Planning Commission voted to recommend approval of the rezoning application. Questions?
No, I have a comment, though, on our page in our book, page 23. The directions to the complex is wrong. It says to go out to Interlaken and turn into Cooper Lake RV Park. So
I apologize.
And I meant to say that yesterday, and time got away from me, so I apologize for not bringing that.
I'm sorry I made that mistake.
That we'll just clean it up. So as long as everybody knows the directions are wrong, we're good. Any questions for?
I have a comment.
Yes, Commissioner Wilkinson, the other one.
One of the things that I understand is an issue in Putnam County is the tourist development tax is not being processed, not being received for mobile home parks. And while we, as the county, is not the enforcement arm of that, the way it is right now, whenever a campground comes online, they have to go to the tax collector's office and download the form. Well, I'm not sure that those RV parks even know to go on the tax collector's website and download the form. So we're having an issue with campgrounds not filing their tourist development tax return. So what I would like to see as a county, again, we're not the enforcement end of that, but if we could work in when these new developments come in for campgrounds, that we're at least providing them the information and saying, here's the form, it's your responsibility, it is self-reporting, but let them know that there is because they don't know what they don't know. And so they don't know necessarily to go online to do that. And I feel like we're the first stop for them whenever we're giving these permits out. And so I'm not sure if we got to work that in the process or if it's just more in your office where you guys are handing them that form and in their package or the development review saying, listen, you guys have a responsibility to fill out the tourist development tax return. But I want to make sure that we're doing that in the future. Those are just my comments.
Yes, ma'am. It's something to look into.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wilkinson, I love that idea. And honestly, maybe that could become part of the final order that, you have to bring back to us the application that you've already downloaded and it's been approved by the tax collector. I think that's a wonderful idea because we do projects based on tourist development funds.
Yeah, and those are people that are visiting our community. They're not our, they're not our normal tax-paying citizens. So, we want to capture that. We don't want to lose that.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Wilkinson. Okay, any other questions? All right. Is the applicant here? Would like to make a statement? If you will, state your name and address for the record.
Don Holmes, 222 North 3rd Street, attorney for Celtic Investments. As you pointed out, the site is not in Interlochen. It's on 17 South in what some call San Mateo.
God's country.
Yeah, I know.
We hear that, but not sure.
Yeah. Some of you may recall at one point it was a KOA, campground, many years ago. It's been in existence, as Jennifer indicated, since before zoning, actually, I believe in the early 70s. It kind of evolved into about a 50-site park. 17 to 20 of those sites became permanent or long-term stays or mobile homes. My clients bought it and began the process of attempting to upgrade, but in that process, of course, they found that they weren't allowed to because they were operating as a vested park instead of properly zoned PUD or facility. So they made the decision to try to move forward with a PUD. In the process, they've cleaned the place up quite a bit, established a camp store, revamped the bathrooms, stabilized the roads, perimeter fencing, done quite a bit with the idea of upgrading the park and making it profitable, but also a nice place to stay. So we presented the plan to, the PUD plan has many details that I'm happy to answer for you if you'd like, but I know in the interest of time, I'll simply state that we presented the development plan, reviewed it with staff multiple times, presented it to the Planning Commission, received approval and recommendation from them, and hopeful to receive approval from you today, and then we'll go to our Development Review Committee and work out the details.
Good, thank you.
Any questions, happy to
for Mr. Holmes? Thank you, sir. Okay, this is a public hearing. Is there anybody in the audience that wants to speak in favor or opposition to this request for the PUD? Anybody in favor or opposition? Going once, twice? Okay, no? Okay, you thought you might, but you didn't. It's another project. Okay. So we will close public hearing, and commissioners, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chair, I move approval of PUD 24-6.
Okay, we have proper motion.
Second.
We have proper second. Further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Next item is rezone of REZ 24 -00, all the zeros plus the 8, Georgia Pacific. This is our second reading. We've already had our first reading, and Jennifer, you're on.
Could we just skip staff presentation?
Yeah, I think we don't need to be.
You're not adding anything from last time?
No,
are
sir.
Okay, as the applicant, do you want to skip or waive in support or make a comment? Okay, then is there any public comments based on this rezone of Georgia Pacific property? For or against? Going once, twice, three times? We're closed with that. Staff, commissioners, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chair, I move approval of rezone REZ 24-8.
Okay,
Second.
proper motion, proper second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Next item is our request to vacate portion of Magnolia Avenue in Bridgeport subdivision. Okay. So you're saying for me to be mindful. I get it. Good morning.
So this
sir.
is the second reading for a portion of Magnolia Avenue to be vacated. It's not a road that has been developed at all, and the citizens in that area are just wanting to take that out of play.
Okay.
We have no problem with the vacate of the road.
Questions for Mr. Stout? Okay, good, thank you. This is a public hearing, so would someone like to come up and speak about that? First, wait, before we go too far, our first card is Mr. Timothy Powell. Timothy Powell, if you'll come up, and then we'll call.
Good morning.
And I noticed, Mr. Powell, if you will state your name and address for the record, and you also gave us a packet of information, is that correct? Okay.
Sir, I did modify the one paper that the county sent me.
Mr. Powell, if you'll say, I need your name and address for the record, please.
Tim Powell, 131 Magnolia Avenue. Sir, I'm legally deaf, and so it's kind of waving up. If I'm speaking too loud, please.
You're doing good. If you could put the microphone a little closer, I know you're tall like me.
Okay, sir.
You can pull it up. It'll move for you. There you go.
Okay. Thank you for allowing me to express my opposition to the request to vacate the unpaved portion of Magnolia Avenue. There's 4 pictures in your packet. The first picture, it shows the end of the unpaved portion. It was taken prior to the current residents of the Schneiders purchasing the property at 135 Magnolia, which is adjacent to this property. Mr. Schneider was observed tearing down the chain link fence that is shown in this property. I approached him and notified him that it was county property and he did not own it. He responded, "My wife does not like chain link fences," and ripped it down anyway. Picture number 2. Mr. Schneider placed 2 buildings, a trailer, and other objects on the county property, obstructing the view of the riverfront for all residents located on Magnolia Avenue, even though he did not own it. He also put thousands of pounds of concrete debris into the protected wetlands that adjoin his property. Putnam County Code Enforcement, after a complaint was filed by me, instructed Mr. Schneider to remove the buildings and all other items from the county property. He did. The state of Florida investigated, Department of Environmental Protection out of Jacksonville, and found that he had in fact dumped the concrete and ordered him to remove all of the concrete out of the protected wetlands adjoining the property. Since his arrival in this neighborhood, his behavior has demonstrated his total disregard for following county and state regulations. Picture number 3. This photo is how the subject property looks today. This neighborhood is a beautiful, quiet, waterfront community that is reminiscent of old Florida. We do not want to turn and drive on our street and see a junkyard at the end of the street instead of the natural beauty. Picture number 4 shows the property of Palatka Holdings, LLC, located at 136 Magnolia Avenue, who, with Mr. Schneider, would acquire this property if the commission approves his request. I understand that the petitioner wishes to acquire the property to put a circular drive on it. Please note in this picture that a circular drive already exists on the petitioner's property without the street having to be vacated. The gate on the right, the black iron gate, what you can't see very clearly, it's a circular drive that goes behind the trees and comes out on the left-hand side of that photo. It's already there. Please do not approve this request. I, along with others, want to preserve the way it is now. We do not want the beauty of a long-established neighborhood destroyed. A refusal to grant the vacation of the property would not cause harm to anyone. There is no financial penalty if this request is approved. An approval would give more property to the 2 largest lots on Magnolia Avenue and reward Mr. Schneider's bad behavior. There is no reason to even. You would also take away the ability of the residents to file a complaint if such behavior were to return because it's on his property.
Mr. Powell, we got to wrap it up. Okay. I do have a question for you. Are all the buildings off of that property right now currently?
Yes, sir. He has he has moved 3 buildings off of that property, and he has lined them on his own property. Mr. Schneider has a commercial enterprise located in Waldo.
Okay.
And all of the items, i.e. the things that you would see at a flea market, are stored in those buildings and all over his yard. We just don't want it to spread past his existing property into the rest of it.
Thank you, Mr. Powell. Any other questions?
Thank
Okay. Is there anybody else wanting to speak? Please come up and state your name and address for the record. We are going to time you at 3 minutes, but as you can notice, there's not a trap door that opens and you don't fall out. So if you go over. Ashley, you might want this for the public record. Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Irvin Weldon. I live at 134 Magnolia Avenue. And I am representing the Palatka Holding, LLC, for Dr. Sam Brown. This problem that we have here is not so much the property. It's a Hatfield and McCoy between the Snyders and the Powells. And Dr. Brown, as you see this note that you have in front of you, that is the proposal for that piece of property. Now, if it was just...
Let me just say one thing. What you see in front of you is
You got to put the microphone too.
And Yvonne Seal Weldon, his wife at 134 Magnolia. The paper that in front of you is what our friend Tim requested, and Dr. Sam Brown and Gary Schneider agreed to these documents that I got there, the recommendations, and we totally agree with that. So, that being said, you can read for yourself. Go ahead.
The property would only have a decorative gate and a decorative fence, which 4 of the people right on the same side of the street will all have the same type fence. It's a black aluminum fence with a 6-foot gate, electronic gate.
That you can see through.
And you can see right through it. It's nothing. As a matter of fact, the poles would be no more than 6 by 6, a 4 by 4 or 6 by 6, whatever the fence company says that it's needed for the gate. And once again, the county said that the property could only be given to the persons on either side of the right-of-way. If it was up to Mr. Snyder, he could care less. He's not even up to paying the extra taxes. But since it has to be those on either side, he's brought into it. If it was only one way, which Mr. Snyder would agree to, it would just be Palatka Holdings, LLC, Dr. Brown. And that's it, sir.
So Dr. Brown lives on one side and Mr. Snyder lives on the other?
Schneider lives on the other.
Mr. Snyder lives on the opposite side.
Okay, and I'm here in representing
Would
Gary
you please?
Schneider and Jan. And they're out delivering Meals on Wheels today, otherwise they would be here speaking for themselves. But once again, they are doing this to accommodate Dr. Brown. And hopefully this will still go through and can be approved. And the driveway that Dr. Brown is requesting would go straight down the road and then back behind his buildings and making another circular drive. It's what he's got in his yard now. There's driveways in there, but not necessarily what you'd call a circular, although it does go around a tree. But this would make it easier for him to pull his boats in and back behind some buildings that exist on his property and then back out. That was the circular drive that he...
All right, thank you very much for your comment. Any other comments from
Thank you.
Commissioners?
May I add also that this, when it's finished, will be I won't say a multi-million-dollar, but over $1 million estate. When it's all finished, it'll be beautiful and more revenue for the county.
Yes. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
For your time.
Any other comments? Okay, anybody else from the audience would like to speak? All right, we'll close the public portion of that. Commissioners, I do have a comment I want to make. Based on the pictures that I saw, it really looks like it'd be nice to leave that open, and I know somebody's promised that they won't do something right now, but in the future, you can't make any promises like that. But I will go along with what the board decides to do. Mr. Adamczak, you have the floor.
Yeah. On all of these that were waterfront, because we don't know what our drainage needs to be in the future, and I know today we don't think it's an issue. I voted no on all of these in the past, so I'm going to continue to do that just because I don't know what our access to the water may be needed someday in the future, whether it's 10 years from now or 50 years from now. I have no objection to what they want to do with it. It's just the fact that it does access all the way down the river, I think it makes no sense for us to give it up.
Thank you, Mr. Adamczak. Ms. Wilkinson?
I'm concurring with Commissioner Adamczak. I mean, regarding the view for the citizens and also that 60 feet of river frontage that the county would lose. I don't know why we have a need to vacate it. I really don't see that the county, we're not doing anything with it anyway. So I'm leaning with Commissioner Adamczak at this time.
Okay, any other deliberations?
Motion.
Chair will
Yes,
make
sir.
a motion.
I make a motion to deny the vacation of the right-of-way.
Second.
Okay, got a proper motion, proper second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Been disapproved. We're not going to allow it. Thank you. Next on our agenda is public comment on agenda items. This is your time to speak on agenda items only. If anybody would like to come up and share 3 minutes of their time, this is your opportunity. Going once, twice, 3 times, close public comment. Commissioners' consent agenda. Commissioner Pickens, any items you want to pull?
I have none.
Commissioner Adamczak.
I have none.
Commissioner Turner.
I have none.
Commissioner Wilkinson.
I have none.
And I have none. Chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of consent agenda items A through K.
Second.
Proper motion, proper second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Next is our fine reduction case. Mr. Moore, is the client with you today? Is anybody here for fine reduction codes case 2005-00487?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I move on Codes Case 2005-00487 that we reduce the fine to $4,568 minus the surplus of $2,412.61 for a total additional to be paid of $2,155.39 if paid within 90 days.
Second.
Proper motion, proper second. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Moore,
Thank
for
you,
your presentation today. Did well. Appointments, Mr. Adamczak, do you have any appointments you'd like to? Mr. Turner?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
On the Tourist Development Council, I'd like to nominate Keith Valentine, T.J. Smith, and Ashton Hodge for the Tourist Development Council.
Okay.
How does that work when we only have one appointment?
Hmm?
We only have one appointment.
There's 3 available. There were 2, they're just not on the list.
Oh, okay.
It
So
It
Keith Valentine.
came in the package yesterday afternoon, late yesterday afternoon, right at the end of the package. It
Okay.
had the 3 recommendations from the Tourist Development Council. They didn't have Keith on the list, but his term was up on the 24th, and Ashton Hodge is taking the place of John Hodge, who has resigned.
Okay, thank you.
So, again, I'd like to nominate Keith Valentine, T.J. Smith, and Ashton Hodge to the TDC.
Second.
Any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, the ayes have it. Do want to make a comment about tourist development. Today you approved 2 items. There was a bunch more that were approved yesterday. We didn't want to bog that down. We wanted to get the 2 that were time sensitive to you today. We had a meeting planned for a couple weeks ago that had to be postponed because of a hurricane, the storm that was here. And now we almost had to do it again yesterday, but managed to squeeze it in and get it done before we had to postpone. So next meeting, you're going to see a bunch more requests from tourist development. Mr. Turner, you still have the floor. Is there anybody
I
else?
have no additional ones today, sir.
Okay, Mr. Pickens?
Just want to make a comment on the Tourist Development Council. That is one of the things when you become a county commissioner, nobody tells you that you're actually the chair of the Tourist Development Council when you're chair of
There's
the
a lot
Putnam
of
County
things they
Board
don't
of
tell
County
you, Mr.
Commissioners.
Pick-
So anyway, but it is a unique experience working with the volunteers there and the staff from the chamber. And I see the new executive director is Lori Pavlis, right? Pavlis is here with Julie Linton. And I just want to make a comment. I've done it twice, and I served with John Hodge both times. And John was instrumental, I believe, in the starting of the Blue Crab. He's involved in Palatka, his whole life. But he came to those meetings, and he was early, he was prepared, and he participated. And that's what you want. So I just wanted to commend John Hodge for his service to everything he's done, especially the Tourist Development Council. Just one note on the affordable housing. You see we have 2 at-large openings. And I just want to say I spoke with John Nelson Jr., and he is not interested in being renominated. So those will be 2 vacant spots there. And hopefully we can come up with somebody pretty soon. I think we will have a quorum for our next meeting. But we have had problems in the years past. So if you could think of maybe 2 people to fill those, I would appreciate it. That's all I have.
Mr. Pickens, I'm glad you pointed out the fact that Mr. Hodge came early, prepared, and participated. We need that with all the boards that we have. And he has sure been a fine example. We heard testimony yesterday at TDC. Julie, I'm going to get this screwed up, but I think we started in 1992 with like $30,000 worth of income. And now we're up to over 600,000, somewhere in that neighborhood that the TDC brings in. So, and that goes right back out to support all these projects and festivals and advertising for this county. And I mean, believe me, the numbers show themselves that people know Putnam County and it's working. So thank you. Ms. Wilkinson, do you have the floor for appointment?
I have none.
Okay. On the next item, we're going to table that. Mr. Suggs, you want to make a comment on that?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, thank you. As we're doing our research, some information came to light, and I'd like to have a little bit more time for staff to look at that, and then we'll come back at a future date to discuss the direction that the board would like to move forward on.
If we don't have a storm, maybe the next meeting we can discuss it further.
We'll do our best.
Thank you, sir. Okay, public comment on miscellaneous items. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to have public comment? Miscellaneous items? Going once, twice, 3 times gone. Thank you. Mr. Clerk of the Court, Matt Reynolds, Honorable Matt Reynolds.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to take just a quick moment to update the board and update the public on the tax deed sale that was planned to occur tomorrow. At this point, we are still planning to move forward with that tax deed sale tomorrow, starting at 10. But in order to accommodate for owners and bidders that may be the winners of those auctions, we're going to extend the period of which that they can come in to either redeem the property or make their payment to next Wednesday, close of business. So that way it should give all interested parties plenty of time to come in and address either redeeming the property or making the payment for the bid in order to accommodate for them. By doing that, not having to postpone the sale, it will save us a substantial amount of money. It'll save the county taxpayers a substantial amount of money. So just wanted the board to be up to date on that, working closely with the tax collector's office on making sure that that goes as smoothly as possible.
Mr. Turner, you had a comment?
Yes, Matt. If someone bids on a property tomorrow and they're successful, are you saying that the property could still be redeemed after the sale?
Yes, sir. That per statute, the way that a normal sale would work is that the owners have until noon of the following day, which is Thursday, to come in and redeem the property. But we will be extending that out due to the storm.
Sale?
Yes, sir. Even after the sale.
I wasn't aware of that.
I just want to say thank you for handling that and working with the tax collector's office and saving the citizens money. I think that's very important, and trying to find a workaround that's helpful for everybody. So thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. And the only other comment I have is just to let everybody know to please stay safe. This is a very serious storm. We've seen many storms come and go over the past few years, but this one really seems to have everybody's attention, as it should. So I just pray that everybody's safe during the storm.
I agree. County Attorney, Mr. Commando?
Nothing to say, sir. Thank you.
Okay, before I go to County Administrator, Mr. Grimes, I'm going to give you an opportunity. I know I put you on the hot seat real quick, but you stayed for the full briefing and probably our stakeholders. So if you would like to brief the board on any new developments or anything?
Most certainly. So good morning, Commissioners, Chairman. Yeah, everything looks pretty much the same as it did yesterday evening. If people noticed, that storm did take a downgrade last night. It had a eye wall rebuild or replacement during the night last night. They fully expected that. I mean, the NWS Jack's meteorologist said that he can see it starting to reform a very narrow eye wall, so he fully anticipates it will re-intensify to a Cat 5 again today. They're not anticipating a Cat 5 at landfall, probably a 3 or 4. Still going to be very destructive to that whatever region it hits in southwest Florida. It's kind of bobbled between the north and south of Tampa Bay. There hasn't been a big, the most model guidance is coming into alignment, and they're going to put it right in, or maybe just a tick south of Tampa Bay. Not a lot changed for us locally. There's a little conflict. We're seeing a hurricane warning from the National Weather Service that everybody's receiving on their phones. They're showing us a tropical storm, heavy intensive tropical storm warning locally. So there is maybe a little bit of confusion there, but we're only talking 1 or 2 miles an hour, whether you're talking a very high-end or tropical storm versus a Cat 1 type hurricane. Rainfall's maintained 6 to 8 inches. Locally, they said you could see 10 to 15. Storm surges remain in effect. They're overly concerned, or they are very concerned about the high tide cycle, and with the river staying up and the water getting trapped for many weeks to come. So we're going to anticipate that flooding to stay on top of us for probably the next couple weeks anyway. None of that has changed as of this morning. We're starting to stage everything inside the shelters this morning. Our fire rescue logistics folks and workers are getting all the stuff delivered and getting all the shelters set up this morning, getting ready to open it tonight at 6. The storm did slow down a little bit. It shows the impact probably coming in late tomorrow night and into early Thursday morning. But we always have that chance for it to speed back up. And I don't want to change the messaging, right? We've got the community engaged. They know the shelters are opening at 6. I mean, we probably got a little extra time according to this morning's forecast, but we're going to maintain the same pace we're on, besides trying to cause confusion. So with that, nothing else has really changed. The landfill is going to be open an extra hour again today, just so the citizens know, so they can do that. Sandbag sites are still open. Our staffing plan is put together for fire rescue. They'll mobilize tomorrow morning at 0800 for their assignments. Other than that, I think that's pretty much what we've seen in this morning's update. Not a lot, like I said, not a lot had changed since yesterday afternoon, other than just that eye wall rebuild. So I'll take any questions anybody has this morning, so if I
I have
can
one.
take any.
So are we still not going to pick up trash on Wednesday? Is that still the plan?
Yes, ma'am, that's the plan as of now.
Okay.
That may change. We're looking at that because if we got a sunshiny day tomorrow, I really would, the problem is confusion, right? Because we said that the landfill's closed tomorrow. But if we have a day that we could get the garbage up, I'd rather get it up with that one extra day. But we're going to look at that this afternoon. So
Yeah.
if we think we can get it out without causing too much confusion, if we think we can run the landfill, we may run the landfill tomorrow. But we're going to look at that yet. I think it's just still too early to call, but if we could get an opportunity, we may.
And I know it's hard to anticipate, but seeing all the travelers coming from South Florida on the interstate, and we're opening our shelters, are we thinking that we're going to get some of those travelers, or are we thinking it's going to be more local? I know it's hard to tell, but you've been doing this a lot longer than I have.
It has. We'll see a few influx from South Florida run through. We'll know later today how many of them are staged here waiting on our shelters to open. We just don't know that at the moment. We've not a lot of special needs requests. We've had 10 confirmed this morning, but no transport required. I did have somebody reach out to me right before trying to figure out how to get them, some handicapped folks out of the south end up to the special needs, and I gave them the health department's phone number to get them arranged to get in there this morning. So we are doing that. And I don't want to change the subject, but debris collection is going on right now. I'm sitting here as we speak watching the map turn from red to blue, which is kind of nice, seeing that our vendors and contractors are out there trying to get all the debris picked up.
Well, that's good. Okay, thank you. That's all I have for now.
JR, I want you to, I was very impressed with decisions that were made Sunday morning about debris pickup. You know, like you said last week, we had a plan of action to go out and spend a few weeks with a contractor to get all the debris picked up in the county from the last storm. And decision was made Sunday morning to get that stuff up as quickly as possible. Would you expound on that, please, about what took place on that?
Yes, sir. So Friday afternoon, we had a 20% or 30% with going down anticipation of development in the tropics. So we went ahead and rolled out to pick up for Hurricane Helene debris. We wanted to give 2 weeks for people to get their debris cleaned up in their yard, and we'd send a contractor push through, and then we could go back and get the one-off piles if we needed to, whether it be our own sanitation department. But then on Sunday, we had a 90% chance of development with a tropical storm had already formed with a path that was coming this way, so we made a decision to try to get this debris picked up. Mr. Suggs and I went out Sunday all day and marked what piles we could, mobilized fire rescue to go out because they got tablets and computers in their trucks and just start marking piles on the side of the road. Not sure how many are on there. There's a lot of dots. Never did go to a whole count, but there's a lot. And they're pushing through this morning, so and they'll probably work through the day tomorrow. Some of them did start working yesterday evening, but we were able to engage them, so a lot of it's getting picked up. They've got some different strategic places located around the county that they are putting the material for now in a staging area. Then we'll get it moved to the central landfill following Hurricane Milton. So we've tried to find county-owned properties that are secure out of neighborhoods that the vendors and contractors can get in quick with their trailers, get it dumped, and then get right back out on the street picking up debris. So we're pushing through pretty good today. We've got a couple more crews on standby that said they could work if needed. But I think we've got probably close to the right number engaged at the moment. If we need to engage another one or two, we most certainly can.
And you reached out to local people, so go ahead and say that.
Yes, sir, we did. We reached out to local folks, tried dividing the county up in some quadrants to give to them, because we were in a little bit different situation, because usually in recovery we go through our debris contractor because we're in recovery. This is truly in a category B, which is emergency protective measures, which kind of opens up some of the procurement on how we can do this. So I reached out to several vendors that were either vendors for the county that work for the county and other aspects that we knew that did, some of them SBU contractors, some of it that does abatements, different things for us. Reached out to those folks, got them in here and asked, and got those engaged yesterday, which just really was able to do quickly. And if we weren't in that Cat B designation from the governor, we'd have never got the ability to do that. So with the LSE and trying to do the emergency protective measures in front of Hurricane Milton, enabled us to do that type of engagement.
Good, thank you. Mr. Turner?
We're going to open the EOC today to Category 1 or to Tier 1 or whatever y'all
Level
call
1,
it.
yes, sir.
with it slowing down and not going to have a fix until tomorrow evening, are we going to fully staff tonight, or are we going to let people go home and sleep in their bed even though we're going to stay at 1? Obviously, we're not going to have, you know, full storm impacts until sometime tomorrow afternoon. So is the plan to just staff at whatever level's necessary tonight and then staff at the full level tomorrow afternoon or something?
Yeah, we'll kind of play that by ear, but we've got to have enough staffing in place to take care of the people in shelters. So we've still got to keep our logistics division up and running. I'll be there throughout the duration of the storm, but we can scale back. I mean, if we see it truly where we can get our people back to the EOC safely, that's the key. Is I don't want them traveling during the storm, but if we can send them home, let them do some evening stuff this evening, and once we get good and settled in, and make sure we got all the key elements there as far as making sure we got enough people to answer the phone, because the call center is just getting overwhelmed with calls in right now, and we got all the shelter set and all the logistics, and if we got a little lull period between when the storm hits, we can absolutely rotate folks out and get them home to their families.
I guess my point is that a lot of the ASE stations that are out there are storm-related, directly storm-related, or even after storm-related. A lot of the different ESEs. We could let them go home and spend the night with their family tonight, and then maybe come in tomorrow when it was necessary.
Oh, most certainly. Like our recovery folks would absolutely go and be able to do FP&L. Their representatives probably won't come in until tomorrow morning. We're not fully activating fire rescue till tomorrow. So we've got a staged plan coming in, but we got to put it up to that level 1 when we got our shelters and all up and running, so that we have make sure we have enough staff there to maintain that.
I'm not saying don't do that. I'm just saying, you know.
Yep. We got you covered.
They got families too.
Yes, sir. We all do.
And go ahead and make note of what came in, what you ordered in yesterday that came in.
Sure. So we, even post-storm, it does take a little while for things to mobilize and be able to get here. So we did order 1 semi-load, which I think is inclusive of 27 pallets of water that we can pre-stage around the county until we get the next request in post-storm. And then we also got delivered 2,000 tarps, which is 19 pallets. We currently have those stored at the pole barn at Sanitations, so we can roll those out post-storm, because we just didn't have enough room at the EOC. And I think we ended up with a whole semi-load of MREs that we can distribute out to folks post-storm. So we've got all the supplies in that we requested out. Our generators are pre-staged. Everything's up, and all of our prep work is, if not completed, is in the very ending processes of being completed and us up and ready to go. We'll probably be done with most of our prep today by 3 or 4 o'clock. Everything will be up staged, ready to go.
Just for discussion purposes, I don't know if I haven't heard it in a commission meeting, and I don't know if you've told the other commissioners or not, but the generator at the water plant in East Palatka is operational again.
Yes, sir.
Thank goodness. You know, because if we lose power there, we'd have lost water and the whole water system. So through very diligent work by JR and Public Works, they went out and got this thing running again in record time. In the government, it was like a lightning strike time. But they got this done, and thank goodness they did, because if this takes out power in East Palatka, we would also lost water to all East Palatka. So good job on that one, JR and guys. Good job.
I have one more question. Regarding the special needs shelter, I know that there's a process for them. They just can't show up. So we have done first of all, let me just say, EOC and the staff has done a great job pushing out information. I truly appreciate it. I think that we're informing our citizens the best we can with as much information as we can, and I appreciate that, and I know they do too. But what about the instructions for the special needs shelter? Should we put a bulletin together or some kind of
and I'll go.
something?
Yes, ma'am. We can, and I've got a number right here. So this is for Miss Stacy Branham at the Florida Department of Health. She's in charge of making sure that we get on the list and all that stuff. Her phone number, she wants to be called directly, and this is a cell phone number. So is area code 386-937-3563 until 6 o'clock tonight. And that's when the call center opens, and their staff will come to the call center, and then they can start. They'll call the 386-329-1904. They'll route them to their ESF desk and be able to talk directly to the health department staff, but they have to be pre-registered. They have to meet a certain category. whether they're bedridden or they're oxygen dependent or things like that that require special need. But they have to be pre-qualified, and if not, they can get them qualified real quick. They just need to make sure they meet the metrics for them to get there. So they can call Miss Stacy Branham from the Florida Department of Health. She'll get them squared away.
Okay, thank you. And then one other thing, I saw that the Florida Department of Emergency Management will be in the future offering some Uber rides to local shelters, as long as they're going to the shelter. They're not going to take them to Walmart, but they're going to take them to the shelter of their choice in Putnam County if they're a Putnam County resident. So once the shelters are open, will we be getting that information out?
We're going to do our best. We are very transportation limited in our county, but if we don't have necessarily an Uber service. We do use our partners through like Ride Solution. If there's a definite need, we will get them to a shelter. If you told me right now, how are you going to get them there? I'm going to answer you and tell you, I don't know, but I'm going to get them there. Whether it's send Commissioner Harvey to get down there in his car and go pick them up and send them out to the shelter, or I send an ambulance by. I mean, because we don't have the luxuries of the big cities where Uber is just right around the corner, or Lyft, or any of the other uses. We run into this in other areas of our job with like getting people home from the hospital, right? So they have to utilize Ride Solutions and other agencies to be able to get the people home. So we deal with that on a constant basis. We will absolutely if somebody will call in there, I will get you a ride to a shelter if you need it. Whether we reach out to a partner at Ride Solutions, that's one of our ESF functions that functions at the EOC. Or if I had to send an ambulance out, I'll get them to town, or I'll reach out to the sheriff's office and see if they can help transport somebody to town. We'll get them to a shelter. But as far as a Uber ticket or a Lyft ticket or anything like that, we don't have those types of services here, which you're very well aware of, but we'll absolutely get them to a shelter if need be.
Okay, thank you.
And I think it's prudent to say this. There's plenty of time to prepare, but there's going to be a cutoff point where we're not going to be able to get to you. So if you flooded in the past couple months, it's going to flood again. If your road's washed out in that spot every time it rains, it's going to wash out again. Just be prepared. Take responsibility for your family, and we'll get there as soon as we can.
But even on top of that, the last 2 or 3 big rains and big storm events we've had is possibly not going to cover this one. 7 years ago, when I first got here as a commissioner, we had one of these events that had a 3-day nor'easter in front of it that blocked the water up. Yep. And then we had all the water coming from the south up, and it flooded. I mean, a lot of these places had water 2 foot up into their houses that since then have been close to getting in their house. So the possible flooding event that's fixing to happen could be a lot worse than what we've seen in the last 5 or 6 years through these other storms.
That's right.
So I remember at Dunn's Creek that it was as high as the seat cushions on the houses along the creek. That hasn't happened since then. It was also crotch deep in Sportsman's Harbor down there, because I walked it down there with Senator Yoho and Sheriff Gator DeLoach and myself. We all went down there and walked it. So trying to get into a certain place that we wanted to see. And so I'm just telling you, it hasn't been that deep since. And this has all the bells and whistles to be the same situation with backing that water up. So if your house didn't flood in the last 2 or 3 years or 4 years, that doesn't mean it's not going to here. If you're in a low-lying area, get the hell out. Just get out. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. Get out. They're not going to be able to get in there to you during this storm event once it hits. Right. So I just think it's very important that they do that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Mr. Suggs, I've stole your thunder, so go ahead.
No, sir, Mr. Chairman, never. Just a couple things real quick. Received a couple calls last night from some commissioners and just wanted to make sure we clarified some confusion. I did reach out to Dr. Rick Cernsey last evening about the school closures today here in Putnam County, and that call was made by the commissioner in the Department of Education out of Tallahassee. And I believe that was in response to what I was told last night was 500,000+ residents are being evacuated out of Pinellas County. So they were anticipating we might get an influx. So the Department of Education made that decision last night, not Putnam County. And so absolutely. And as you can hear, There's been a lot of very positive and direct comments about this storm. Mr. Grimes and Ms. Young as well, I'm going to give props where they're due, have been monitoring all the National Weather Service calls, so they're very much up to date. Ms. Danny and Mr. Stefan out at DOC has been putting out great information. Commissioner Wilkerson, thank you for that, because they don't get enough credit. Folks in Putnam County are really taking this serious. I went out last night. We had a small group, church group at my house last night, and after that I went out to get some fuel myself. And it was a lot of the stations in town are running low, and a lot of folks are out there filling up their cans and anything they had to get ready for generators. So I think the word is out, and I think they're really paying attention. But what you also have heard here today and in the last couple of days is we're prepared. We started Sunday. Mr. Grimes called me Saturday afternoon, and we went to work. And your staff went to work. Your public works folks, your solid waste folks, your fire rescue folks, everybody in public safety. So we're up and running this morning. I understand the call center has been running all morning, and so Mr. Grimes is going to go to a level 1 at 6. Common sense approach here, and I love that about this group. And our community is in very good hands, and all I can do right now is pray for our community, pray for our citizens, and make sure they understand the seriousness of this, and I believe they do. And thank you, Five, for what you've done to support this effort as well. But I can't say enough about how staff has done their job. Getting those sandbag sites up first thing Sunday, making sure sand stays plentiful out there, bags are out there. Getting sand over to Drayton Island this time, was a big deal. And so we learn from every event, as Mr. Grimes says. We've learned from the last one to this one, and we'll learn something from this one. And growth is what it takes to continue getting better. And so thank you all. And all I've got to say is please pray for everybody here and be safe. And we'll do the best we can. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Commissioner comments. Mr. Pickens.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman Harvey. I just want to echo what Administrator Suggs just said. We do have great staff, and they have been preparing. They've done this before. Each storm is different, but this one has the feel of Irma and Matthew. And we did experience, the high winds, down trees, washed out roads, and the flooding. So if you're in one of those areas, and I'll just point out Sportsman Harbor, you need to be really cautious if you're going to stay. But I suggest that you probably get to higher ground. What we see there is people who have cars will stay, and then they're trapped, because if they back the car out of the driveway, the car fills up with water because the streets there's just so much water down there. So please prepare and be safe. And I really appreciate all the staff from Public Works, Planning and Zoning, Sanitation, all the different departments that we have, and then our law enforcement for what they're already doing and what they'll do through the storm. And everybody stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Amzat?
Yeah, I mean, just about everything's been said. I fully agree. If you're in one of those low-lying areas, just leave. It makes no sense to stay there and risk it. You're going to be able to go back in a couple of days and see what's going on, and just leave and then stay out of the way for the time right after, so that emergency services and everything can do their job. And just look out for your neighbors too. Like, a lot of us have neighbors that are elderly, and they can't get out there and take that lawn furniture and put it away and things like that. My feet are all wet. I came here a little late because I was trying to help a couple people. I thought I had more time than I did. I'm going right back to try to do some stuff. So hopefully everyone's doing that. And there's a lot of elderly people in our community. I mean, we're probably 60% over 55, 60 years old. Get out there and help them. Just get that stuff away from their house at least. We were doing some stuff. We hid some stuff behind the side fence for late this morning. So just things like that. If you know elderly at your church and things like that, just checking on them.
Thank you. Mr. Turner?
Yes, I'd also like to echo everybody's comments by all means this morning, and just be safe. Also would like to request that we place Pico Road boat ramp on the agenda for the next meeting. I think we're going to be ready by then. I think we've found a solution, and it's time to present it to the board. Wasn't quite ready today, but in 2 more weeks it should be. So we can get that done.
Good, thank you. Commissioner Wilkinson.
If there's still a dock at Pico Road after this event.
It doesn't really matter, because our new proposal is going to be removing it all and
Okay.
starting over anyhow. It's not going to be just fixing the one that's there.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to echo everybody's comments as well. We are going to have, a storm event that is going to bring flooding into this area, and the message that we have continued to say is if you were flooded before, you will be flooded again, and this time it might even be worse. People have got to think about that. If they're in low-lying areas, if you're in the Cedar Creek area, if they're in Federal Point, Dunn's Creek, Sportsman's Harbor, look at your map. I mean, the county has pushed out a very good interactive map where people can put in their address and they can see if they're in one of the recommended evacuation zones, which is A and F. And if they're in those zones, they need to really consider leaving. If you stick around, you might not get any help until after the storm. We can't guarantee anything. We want to help everybody, but we have to think about our firefighters and rescue and first responders. So please be mindful, be prepared as much as you can, and be safe. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Wilkinson. I got a few things. Want to thank Commissioner Wilkinson, our County Administrator, Mr. Suggs, and Deputy County Administrator, Mr. J.R. Grimes, and he's also our Public Safety Director. Last Wednesday, I cooked, I think it was 12 pork butts, and we took off and we were headed to Swanee. And we stopped at Sam's and bought some more stuff that we needed and wound up in Swanee. I guess it was Swanee, correct? Yeah. And one of our firefighter crews was over there, and they were happy to see us, and the people there were happy to see us. And we brought food, and we were able to help a few people out and just be a part of a really, really good process of helping your neighbor out. The state of Florida is a well-oiled machine with these hurricanes, and mutual aid goes all over, but it was just our little moment that we could do something to help some citizens out, and we did. We took a long drive over there and a long drive back, but it was wonderful, and we had a great time together, so I appreciate that. I did have a comment. Representative Tom Leake reached out to me this morning, as well as Representative Payne when we were at the EOC, and they want to know what our need was, and we told them fuel. So they've already moved that up, and I know Mr. Grimes had already put that request in. So that's working now. Again, my last comment is stay safe. Please, no life is worth getting lost over this storm, so do the best you can for you and your family. And if there's nothing else for the good of the order, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.